You're listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Bill McIntyre, and it's time for this week's Long Island News, the news show that talks to newsmakers from Nassau and Suffolk County that matter to Long Island and Long Islanders like you. So each week we'll have a conversation about issues that affect all of us. I live on Long Island, and like you, I want to know more about where my tax dollars are going and more about the people making the big decisions that affect all of us, which is what this show is all about. Well, our guest today is Patrick J. Ryder, the Commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department since 2018, who has spent nearly 40 years of his career in law enforcement. Well, hello, Commissioner, and welcome back to this week's Long Island News.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'm glad. We've had quite a few conversations up to now about a whole range of issues. And a hard point in the news this morning, there was some sad news. Two police officers in Rochester. And I understand just before I came in, one of them did not make it.
That's right. One is passed from the gunshot wound. The other was still in the hospital. This is Rochester, same place last night. Lee Zeldin was attacked on the stage by a man with a metal knuckle knife. He's okay, but unfortunately today we lose, as we do way too many times, another officer doing the right thing, going out and fighting crime. And, for complete strangers. That's what we do. That's what we sign up for. We pray for the best, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Yeah,
I understand he was a 29-year veteran of the force. And, you hear about guys like this, and, they'll tell you at the end of 29, 30 years that they never had to fire a shot. They never had, and to come to this kind of end is... is it a matter of because lately more news stories are like this? We're seeing more and more. Is it just that they're being brought to our attention, or have things really changed as far as?
I think a lot. Look, since the death of George Floyd, a lot of things have changed in this country. Mm-hmm. The unrest with the pandemic, the unrest, the reforms, everything. The last 2 years are probably. Look, I've been on this earth 60 years, and as in my adult life, this has probably been the most tumultuous time that I've ever experienced. And I've been in law enforcement 40 years, and what I've seen and the changes that we've gone through, some good, some not so good, but the rhetoric has got to stop. Mm-hmm. I'm on the right, you're on the left, and I'm not saying... But people look at that and they say, okay, you have a difference of opinions. That's fine. But it's never like that anymore. It's either the far, far left, the far, far right, and you agree with my way, or it's the highway, and we're going to go right to violence. Right. And that rhetoric pumps these people up. And again, I don't know the whole story behind the shooting in Rochester right now, but many of the shootings, and you can go, I know we're going to talk about Uvalde later. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the people involved, a lot of it is mental health, which a lot of it is medication, a lot of it is alcohol, a lot of it's PTSD. We're not treating people well enough in this country. But the people that are not under those type of cognitive issues, they're fighting, causing those people to raise up and say, you know what, I need to do something. I need to get involved in this fight. I need to, make my statement. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with violence, or I'm going to attack a congressman like Lee Zeldin, or I'm going to attack a school like Uvalde. What makes us tick? Only one guy knows that. That's God, right? Mm. But we do know that when we better treat people and we bring the rhetoric down, we de-escalate stuff, people calm down. They go back to their places. They sit on there waiting for the next calling. And unfortunately, lately there's been too much of it. And, right away the attacks go, and, people are screaming, we need gun rights. We need more gun rights. When Roe v. Wade was overturned and it gave the power back to the states, nothing changed in the state of New York. Nothing. No. But I do get it. It's a very, very important topic and argument. And as a male, we don't see it the same way as a woman does, and we never will. That's their understanding. So again, it gets complicated. The world's complicated, and we're firing people up on all cylinders, and then they're acting out. And then we sit back and we go, "Oh my God, what happened?" No, get off the social media. Stop poking. Stop taking shots at everybody. Let's try to just get along a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's a whole different dynamic probably for the public in general, is that you could sit behind a name on Facebook and say things you would never say to somebody in person. That was a kind of a new thing that was unwelcome, but you're right. And you and I, in our past conversations, we've always come up with that idea that we can only hope that cooler heads prevail in every situation.
Yeah, and look, and I'll just spin it back to George Floyd for a minute. After the death of George Floyd, the people in the country exercised their First Amendment. God bless them. That's what we have a Constitution for. Right. But some overstepped. Some went to violence. That's not what the First Amendment about. The First Amendment is about the right to protest, the right to peacefully protest and voice your opinions. That's what this country's built on. And I've had numerous conversations with people during those marches that I was, I engaged, as I asked my cops to do. Engage with them, talk to them, bring it down. And you get a little better perspective about what we may be missing. And I think it was a horrible time in our country. The last 2 years have been a horrible time. But I think eventually we're going to come out of this and we're going to be better for it. That is what makes us stronger, so. But again, the healthy discussion's got to continue, but it can't be always about rhetoric. It can't always be about you do it my way or we're going right to the old Godfather. We're going to the mattresses, We're not going to the mattresses. Let's calm down.
Yeah. The rhetoric. Well, the rhetoric is definitely, thinking about the political atmosphere. I mean, that's the tough thing. I saw a comedian the other day, and I have to look up who he is. I forget who he was. Very, very good, though. But his observation was that in the past we've had our dichotomies of battle, let's say. We've had a black and white issue, and then we have a rich and poor issue. So that, there's... And today, he said, what we're looking at is the truth and lies. There are our two. That's the dichotomy that we deal with today. And like you said before, if somebody says, well, I'm on the right, automatically who's ever observing that thinks they know what that means.
Exactly.
It must be far right. He must be, or I'm on the left. Oh, those progressives, they're ruining the country. And you can almost tell what news services and where people get their information when they do speak up. And it doesn't seem like anybody's got the whole story,
It's amazing how you can flip from one cable station and get one opinion, then go to the other one, and it's like, oh my God, this is totally opposite being said. Yep. What is the truth? Yeah. And again, you're putting faith in those that are giving us the media. We're putting faith in that they're being fair and objective. But we all know that doesn't happen anymore in this world. So.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an issue with people calling for unity, like with our two-party system that we have now. We seem to be in a state of gridlock. There is one or two votes that will either make something a law or get it canned. It's not. And we're voting very partisan. Adams and Jefferson talked about this, a two-party system, and they said this is what it's going to lead to, and we're living it. They weren't big fans of that setup. Yeah,
but I think, look, there's always that third party now entering into our world of voting and democracy, right? Having their opinions. I think you need to have a party system. I just think the parties have got to find the middle of the road because you represent the people. What does the people of your district want? And not just your side of that district, all of your district. When they make a vote in Congress or the Senate or the Assembly, or the Senate here in the state of New York, they should be making a vote for, and I represent my district, and this is what my district wants. I get it. You and the next town over, which is another district, may want something different. Mm-hmm. But my district wants this. My party line says this. The other line says this. How do we bring that together and get something that's workable? But I believe a lot of times it's the message, how you get the message out, mm-hmm. and who's presenting the message. If you start off with a threat, it's going nowhere. Right. I'm that kind of person. You're going to start. Right. You don't start threatening me. Mm-hmm. Sit down and talk to me. I deal with unions all the time, several different unions, and they'll come to the room and they'll have an idea. And I always say, look, if we're respectful, you're going to get something out of me. You're always going to get something. You have to go back to your membership, which is my membership. Right. And I have to make them productive. But I can't give you the store either, because I also represent the people, and the people have to get a fair. But if your product is good, people don't mind paying. Yeah. And I tell these guys and gals all the time, it's about service. If you go out and the customer is happy, the customer's not going, they don't want to pay more taxes. They don't want to, give away their money. They want better service. They want better roads. They want everything. But if you can make the customer happy in policing, we're better off. We are our own salesperson every day. Yeah. We go out, and whether it's black, white, brown communities, whether it's, whatever religious community we're dealing with, it's got to be I always say this, if you understand the community you police the community better. And the needs of an Orthodox Jewish community compared to a Christian community to a Muslim community may be different, especially on times of prayer. The needs of a black, white, or a Hispanic community may be different, and you got to find how to make those customers happy. And I don't mean just happy just to, blow smoke in the air and then they go away. No, I mean really give them an answer, really give them a solution. And we do that in policing every day. You go into a house, you go into a domestic setting, it's mom and dad in a fight, there's 3 kids on the couch, they've been screaming and yelling, nobody's hurt and everything. But under the law, sometimes we are mandated to make an arrest. If the phone got broken by mom, right, in the argument, she wasn't striking him, she wasn't yelling at him, but she picked the phone up, she smashed it. Unfortunately, by law, she has to get arrested. So what do you do? And I tell my cops all the time, do you just say, but ma'am, excuse me, by the New York State penal law, you have to put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest. Yeah. Ooh. And do you do it right in front of the kids? No, you calm everybody down, you explain the process, you say, look, we can do this really nice and easy. We'll all step outside, children in here. We'll just say mom's got to go into to fill out some paperwork. She'll be back. And then dad has that to handle. And then mom comes and we process. And we try to do as quickly as we can, get her in front of the court as quickly as we can, the family court, and hopefully that solves their problem. Sometimes it doesn't. We're back the next day. Yeah. But what I did was I didn't offend that family, those 3 kids, and at the same time I remained keeping everybody calm and safe. Right. What's the issue? What's the issue there? That evidence of violence occurred? She broke the phone? Yeah, and that's, too many times, the old days of policing, you'd go into a scenario like that, and then let's say there was an argument going on, even if the husband smacked the wife, you would turn around and tell the husband to take a walk. Right. I'm going back in the 80s, right? Right. Take a walk, All right, everybody's calm, situation resolved, we're out of here. Nobody got arrested. And so, well, what's he going to do? He's going to take a walk to the local bar, he's going to have a couple of drinks, and now he's going to come back and it's going to be worse. Yeah. That didn't solve the problem. So we went, and now we go to the other extreme. It's a mandated arrest. Sometimes that doesn't solve the problem, but we're not the experts to solve that. Even though we're very good at it because we live it every day, we're not the experts to solve it. You got to get in front of a court. You got to get the resources that are available, given by your county or your state, and hopefully you get the problem fixed with counselors and stuff. But we were mandated, and unfortunately, that's what has to happen. And it doesn't always go well.
Yeah, no, I'll bet it doesn't. Well, from what I've heard, those are the dangerous calls. I mean, it sounds like, husband and wife are just squabbling. Oh, okay. You pull up to the front of the house, and like you said, you walk into a living room, and there's a situation. You know, it could be anything.
The line you hear all the time, obviously, you're not doing this right now, are you? You're not doing this. No, I'm sorry, sir, but under the law, I have to make this arrest. You're not doing this right now. And next thing you know, we're rolling around with the father. Now we're arresting both parents.
Yeah, right.
And I got 3 kids that have been affected by this. And it's tough on us because we're parents too, we're fathers too, we're wives too, we're partners too. And unfortunately, the scenario in society just happens way too much. Number one, assaults that occur in the domestic setting, not on a street violence. It occurs in a domestic setting. Yeah. So
that's I think one of the issues too is that people think they know the law and make assumptions.
That is. So we just had the Second Amendment, as we know, turned over by the Supreme Court. And now it goes back to the states, but the states only has so much control. So now the governor has come down with the restrictions that she wants to put in place.
Oh, wait, we're talking about Roe v. Wade, right? Not. Oh, no, you're talking about the Second Amendment. Okay.
Second Amendment.
Okay. Right.
And puts restrictions in place about when and where you can carry, because you can't stop someone from getting a gun now, but you can restrict them, right? And the state has the authority to always have, can't have less of what the court requires, but you could have more.
Right.
So they're going to put these restrictions. I got people calling me up, calling up a pistol license, screaming and yelling, I want my gun. I want it now. You're supposed to give it to me. This is what the Supreme Court said.
Yeah, right.
There's more to it. And we have to live by what the law is, right? Whatever it is, however it's made, whatever the decision, we have to live by it, and we have to be guided. I am the person that issues the license here, and I sign every license that goes out.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. It comes to the police commissioner has that authority.
Okay. Wow.
Obviously, our authority is restricted by whatever the law says. Mm-hmm. No special treatment. But at the same time, now they're all calling saying, hey, where's my gun? I want my full carry. I have a business carry. I want my full carry. Hold on. There's going to be more to this. There's an application process.
Yeah. And
people just think, like you said earlier, the law changed. Now you got to change it.
I get to carry a gun wherever I want. Right. Yeah. But that also applies to the lady in her house when she breaks her phone, is not thinking at that time that, you can get arrested for that.
No.
I wouldn't have thought that either. I would have thought that the line would have been physical harm or, an attempt to assault somebody.
If my wife picked up the phone to call 911 and I ripped the phone from my hand and took it away from her, I'm getting arrested for that. That's a mandated arrest in the state of New York.
Wow. Hey, I'd like to read that handbook. I'd really like to know, because I think there are a lot of issues like that. Even the, it's a stupid thing when they do it, but, a guy that says, well, I've only had one drink. I can get in my car now and go home. And that idea of not realizing that how you feel is irrelevant. It's when you go to blow the numbers in that little machine that tells you how much alcohol's in you. That's what's going to count. So the way you feel about it, I can have 8 beers and I feel fine. Yeah, no, you can't.
I think some of the greatest things that have come, our children, the teenagers and young adults that we deal with today, are so much smarter than we were when it comes to stuff like that.
Agreed.
And that's an education. So when we talk about all these things about reforms, and it starts at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And for years, MAD, SAD, all these programs that have come out, law changes, educating the people from the foundation up. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And now we're seeing the benefits of what we have done years ago. And my kids go out, they're 23 years old now, mm-hmm. and they go out and they're going to go have their drinks at a bar with their friends and stuff. but they're getting in an Uber. That's not the question I even ask them anymore. I don't say don't drink and drive, right? Yep. It's not even on the table. These kids are just smarter than that.
Did your kids go through the DARE program?
Back in high school, yeah, when they were younger, yes, yep.
Because I know, my daughter did too, and I agree with you 100%. The kids in their 30s now, between their 20s and their 30s, they'll take a train. They're going to Mulcahy's to see some band. They'll get on the Long Island Railroad. They say, wait a minute, you only live in Massapequa. What are you doing that for? So I don't have to bring my car.
And the bar owners are better. And with the control, we have a downtown destination of Farmingdale. That's our big one here in Nassau County that we control. There's obviously Rockville Center and other villages, but for the Nassau County Police, the Farmingdale is a big one. We set with all the owners. We set with all the bouncers. I personally sat down with them all in a group, and I said, look, we want your business to thrive, but we want you to be responsible during that process. And if you're responsible during that process, we'll work with you to make it work. And they've all come on board. And that's why Farmingdale for a while was having some issues.
Yes.
We don't have no more issues. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night destination. Wantor is a big destination because of the train brings you there. Again, sitting with the owners, the responsibility of these owners. You mentioned Mulcahy's, one of probably the most responsible establishments we know. It has sometimes 1,500, 2,000 people inside the place. They come out, they clean up the place, they make sure nobody's leaving overserved. They're being responsible. They make sure people call Ubers. That's what an establishment should do. And I will say this, we are very lucky here in Nassau County that a lot of these places work very well with the police department. That's because of that. And we're very lucky because our kids are smarter.
Yeah.
We can't stop the message, though. We can't get our foot off the gas because now they're not dying from drunk driving. They're dying from texting and driving. And speeding and not being in distracted driving. That's a big problem here in the county. It's a big problem throughout the state.
Yeah. Well, I think every driver on Southern State Parkway can tell you they at one time, have seen somebody either stop too short and when you look over in the car window, there they are, talking to someone on a phone. But I think you bring it up in the DARE program. I don't know why they got rid of it, because it was obviously effective. I mean, it worked on the kids. Yeah.
Well, what we've done, we've taken similar programs through our POP officers, and they go into our schools. So there are 56 public schools here in Nassau County, 56 districts, 450 buildings. But we have gone. And our POP officers and our community affairs officers and our homeland office go in and they speak about things like consequences. There's a thing that they something consequences that they go into the school. They speak about Too Good for Drugs program that's in every school now, all 56 school districts. We talk about school safety. We talk about texting and things like that are out there. We constantly are in there educating the kids about what they got to be careful of. Everything you do, there's a consequence to it. It might be a positive one, but there's some negative ones too.
Yeah.
Again, that takes place of DARE.
I'm glad that I wasn't a parent of youngsters in this atmosphere, because it doesn't appear to me. I mean, when I compare it to my childhood, it doesn't seem like kids get to be kids long enough these days. They're coming into 8 and 9 years old. They're hearing things and seeing things that I had no clue about. They're 9
years old and they got an iPhone. So
exactly, and now that's your electronic extension into the rest of the world. And sadly, the stuff that can filter back that you look at, I certainly wouldn't have thought a lot of it was appropriate for 9 and 10-year-olds. But now they're so much more worldly. They look at you after you say, "Oh my God, you're looking at that? Yeah, what's the problem? I've been looking at these since I'm 6." YouTube. I mean, when you think what you can access on YouTube, and any kid that knows how to do a search engine, you can look up anything you want. That's rough, because I think our parents, certainly in my childhood, had a lot more control and a lot less interference from outside.
I think the big argument today is what's being taught in our schools, and this is not a political statement. It's a common sense, is that when we were younger, we didn't have these things, so you didn't have to teach these things. It just was, and no matter what the topic is, whether it's about gender identity or anything of that, it was there, but it may not have been out. And now that it's out, the discussions are being had, and people are saying, well, when should it be taught? Why are you teaching my children about it? And then on the other side, people saying, I want my children to know about it. So again, there's one of these discussions that we've had. What's the middle of the road? What's the control factor on this?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to have to do another show, and we're going to continue this, okay? You'll come back, right?
Always.
So let's see what we have. The clock on the wall is yelling at me. So, well, we're glad you come back, and we're very glad we didn't scare you away. But for the audience, my guest this week has been Patrick Ryder, the Commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department. And yes, the clock on the wall says it's time for this week's Long Island News to move on out of here. Remember to listen every Friday at 3 p.m. right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.